Alrighty, well, most of America is discussing Nikki Haley for some reason, who said something completely unremarkable that I'm not even going to mention on this channel. Israel has admitted to blowing up 70 innocent civilians, and they're just saying, oopsie. Usually they try and just pass this off and say, oh, well, they were all terrorists, so it doesn't matter. Every time they kill civilians, they just go, well, every single one of them were terrorists, even though they, even if they blow up like an entire apartment building, everyone's side does, they're like, well, it was a terrorist apartment building. We had reason to believe that there was a terrorist living in that building. And so, all the people who were buried in the rubble, they don't matter. Well, now they're admitting that a bombing on Christmas Day in Gaza, and this is not like downtown Gaza, this is like central Gaza, so people who listened to the evacuation orders and said, okay, get out of the city, they just told everyone, hey, flee to the countryside, you'll be safe there, even though almost everyone lived in the city. So leave aside the fact that Israel said, well, just stay out of the densely populated areas, and we won't bomb you, the absurdity of that statement. You can just take that at face value and say, okay, well, I'm going to do as Israel says. I'm going to flee. I'm going to go to central Gaza. I'm going to go to a refugee camp. I'm going to go live in a tent. And that sucks, but at least Israel won't be bombing my house there. Wrong, because guess what? People who Israel wants to bomb, they were living in Gaza City. Well, they told everyone to flee to the south. Guess what? The people that Israel supposedly is trying to target, to the extent that they are targeting specific individuals at all, and not just indiscriminately bombing people, in theory, a lot of those people are going to flee to the south too, because they don't want to get bombed by Israel. Why would they stay in the city if they know, oh, well, that's Israel, where Israel's going to be? So they go south, and then Israel says, well, now we have to bomb these refugee camps, because some of the people that we want to bomb are also refugees, because they don't want to get bombed by staying in the city. And so they blow up these areas outside of Gaza City, where there are large masses of people. And in this particular blast, they blew apart 70 people. And I did not expect for Israel to even acknowledge this, because stuff like this has been happening since October the 8th. It happens literally every day. But this time, Israel is saying, actually, we made an oopsie. We used the wrong bomb. I guess they used too big of a bomb. They were supposed to use a smaller bomb. So, this was supposed to be a precision drone strike. They were just going to blow up maybe one or two guys. But instead, they blew up 70 people. And not just the men, but the women and the children too. And, I look on the website for the Times of Israel, which is reporting this, and the comments section is praising this action. They're saying, no mercy. There are no innocents in Gaza. They're not people. They struck first. All of this stuff. That's what Israelis believe. That is the the common belief. It's not some fringe minority of extremists. Israelis writ large want to exterminate the population of Gaza. That is the goal of this war. That is the goal of Netanyahu. That is the goal of the average Israeli citizen. And this is one of the only examples, because it does happen occasionally. It's one of the only examples that I've found of the Israeli government even pretending like it was unintentional and saying, well, we didn't mean to kill that many people in this particular airstrike. And so maybe, I don't know, should I give them credit for at least lying like that and saying, oh gee, we didn't want to kill that many people? Or would it be more admirable for them to shout from the rooftops in every case, yes, we are bombing civilians indiscriminately, and they all must die? Because the Israelis have said that. The Israeli government has said it, and the Israeli civilians say it. And, of course, Israel supporters outside of Israel, both Jew and Gentile alike, all have been saying this since October the 7th. The only solution to the problem of Gaza is extermination. That is the final solution. I don't see any pushback to this. I don't see the pro-Israel crowd coming out, in America and saying, no, we don't want to exterminate the Palestinians. I see quite the opposite. Yet, at least amongst the ordinary Americans that I talk to, who are not, super engaged, or even those that are, politically in American politics and know about things going on here, almost universally, in fact, I can't really think of anyone, except for people maybe who I am close to that I talk to, about this stuff, who would even entertain the idea that perhaps the Israelis are not 100% in the right here. It is kind of bizarre. It's maybe more bizarre than the Yemen situation was, which I know I've been bringing that up a lot lately. But that was a really, formative time for me. Looking at the American public, their ignorance of the situation in Yemen and our role there. Maybe I can forgive the Israel thing a little bit because it's not actually like American soldiers who are doing it. It's Israel, which is kind of it's one step removed from American soldiers. But, with the Yemen situation, it's like, well, nobody even knew that existed. Everyone knows, what's going on in Israel because it's on the news constantly. But I guess that's just how narratives work, and it shows that the media is still very powerful. That facts being out there are not enough. Because even if a media narrative doesn't necessarily comport to the facts that are available, people have to have a desire to look past the narrative. If the narrative is something that makes them feel comfortable, they will not think twice about it, and they will not consider how the facts contradict the narrative. The reason why we've seen so much resistance to the media, I think, over the last 10 years or so, is because the media has been telling people things they don't want to hear. And that's when people say, you know what, I don't like what the news is telling me, it doesn't make me feel good, so I'm going to go look for the truth elsewhere. And that's when they become open to the idea that the media could be lying because they want the media to be lying, and just so happens that the media lies a lot. And so there are a lot of facts to be had which contradict the narrative that they had previously been spoon-fed. And so the facts about what Israel is doing in the current war is not going to magically turn people against Israel, despite the media narrative. No, in fact, what's going to have to happen first is people are going to have to stop worshiping Israel, stop loving Israel so much, perhaps have some reason that they don't like Israel, and then they will become open retroactively to the facts of the past, which is kind of backwards. It's like, wait, I have to dislike Israel before, well, I mean, you don't have to, obviously an open-minded person could, but I'm saying the average American would have to dislike Israel before they would be willing to entertain the idea that Israel could do something wrong. Because it's just like when you have all these people who, love their political party, or more specifically, like their candidate. As far as they're concerned, their candidate can do no wrong. At least as long as they feel good about that candidate. But, when their feelings start to shift, then they become open to hearing negative things about that candidate. So, anyway, with that said, I will see you folks back here next time.